In the 13th century, from the cold and harsh grasslands of Central Asia, a nomadic tribe rose and changed world history forever. They were not only skilled horsemen, but also great strategists who built a powerful empire stretching from the East Sea to Europe. The world map at that time slowly appeared, showing the Mongol territory expanding continuously, covering almost all of Eurasia. Through the cold winds sweeping across the grasslands, Mongol horsemen appeared, galloping at terrifying speed and shooting arrows with deadly accuracy. Even while riding at full speed, they were not only unstoppable warriors, but also brought a unique system of rule that allowed them to control an empire larger than any before in history. Their conquests shook kingdoms and struck fear into the entire world. This was the Mongol Empire, the largest land empire ever to exist, a phenomenon never seen before and perhaps never to be repeated. Before becoming the most powerful empire in history, the Mongols were just nomadic tribes scattered across the vast, harsh grasslands of Central Asia. Their lives were closely tied to their herds, felt tents, and endless migrations in search of new pastures. They were fierce warriors, but also divided by conflicts between tribes. In this unstable world, in 1162, a boy was born by the Onon River, a boy who would later completely change the fate of his people. His name was Temujin. His life began in hardship. When he was just 9 years old, his father, a leader of a small tribe, was poisoned and his family was abandoned. His mother had to struggle to feed her children while being chased and persecuted. Temujin grew up amidst hunger, cold, and the harshness of nomadic life. But it was these years of suffering that shaped him into a man with unbreakable will, strong perseverance, and a powerful desire for power. As he grew older, Temujin began to gather allies, build his forces, and gradually establish his leadership. He was not only an outstanding warrior, but also a brilliant strategist. Over the years, he fought against hostile tribes, systematically defeating powerful enemies such as the Tatars, Merkits, and Oirats. What made Temujin truly exceptional was his method of governance. Unlike other leaders who relied on family ties, Temujin selected his commanders based on talent and loyalty. He implemented strict military discipline, established a clear command system, and demanded absolute obedience from every warrior. As a result, his army became incredibly strong and disciplined, ready to face any enemy. After years of war, in 1206, Temujin finally achieved the unimaginable. He united all the Mongol tribes. At the Kurultai conference, he was declared Genghis Khan, meaning Great King of the World. This was a significant milestone, not only for Mongolia, but also for human history. From a land divided by endless tribal wars, he created a unified force of unparalleled strength, preparing for the great conquests to come. Immediately after ascending the throne, Genghis Khan began to reform Mongol society. He enacted the Yasa, a strict but effective legal code designed to maintain order in the empire. This code clearly outlined military regulations, punishments for treason, the treatment of prisoners, and rules for trade. Most importantly, it emphasized absolute loyalty to the Great Khan and banned any actions that could cause division between the tribes. Thanks to the Yasa, the Mongols, once small warlike groups, became a unified force, disciplined and organized like no other in the world at the time. Not stopping there, Genghis Khan also focused on expanding his territory. With a powerful army, a strong governance system, and an unwavering fighting spirit, he began leading Mongolia into an era of great conquests. From an abandoned child, he rose to become the supreme leader of the Mongol people, opening a new chapter in human history. An empire like no other, stretching from Asia to Europe, forever changing the world. After uniting the Mongol tribes in 1206, Genghis Khan did not stop at internal governance, but immediately turned his attention to his ambition of expanding his territory. He understood that Mongolia's strength lay not only in its unity, but also in its superior military tactics, the terrifying mobility of its cavalry, and an unstoppable fighting spirit. Under his leadership, the Mongol army began its campaigns of conquest across Asia and Europe, shaking the world to its core. Kicking off the expansion period, in 1211, the Mongol army moved south, attacking the Jin dynasty in China. With their flexible tactics, they quickly swept through opposing forces, laying siege to the capital Zhengdu, now Beijing, in 1215, forcing the Jin court to retreat south. This was the first victory that marked the Mongol presence on Chinese soil. However, Genghis Khan's ambitions were not limited to the east. In 1219, he turned westward, confronting the Khwarezmian Empire, a powerful force in Persia, modern-day Iran. The conflict began when the king of Khwarezm executed a Mongol trade delegation, sparking the wrath of Genghis Khan. In response, he launched one of the most brutal military campaigns in history. Within 2 years, 1219 to 1221, the entire Khwarezmian Empire collapsed. The capital Samarkand was leveled, and tens of thousands of people were killed. After Genghis Khan passed away in 1227, his son Ogedai continued the empire's expansion. Under Ogedai's leadership, the Mongol forces pushed into Europe. From 1236 to 1241, they attacked Russia, defeated the Slavic principalities, and advanced deep into Poland and Hungary. The most famous battle in this campaign was the Battle of Mohi in 1241, where the Mongols crushed the Hungarian army, paving the way for their control over Eastern Europe. Europe was terrified by the strength of the Eastern Army, and many kingdoms prepared for the worst, a full-scale invasion. However, in 1241, Ogedai suddenly died, forcing the Mongols to retreat and resolve internal power struggles. Meanwhile, another branch of the Mongol Empire, led by Hulagu Khan, the younger brother of Great Khan Monk, advanced into the Middle East. In 1258, the Mongol forces attacked Baghdad, the capital of the powerful Abbasid Caliphate. This attack was not only a military victory, but also marked the end of a historical era. The city was looted, hundreds of thousands of people were killed, and the last caliph of the Abbasid dynasty was executed. With this victory, the Mongols gained control over most of the Western Asia region. In the east, one of the greatest successors of the Mongol Empire, Kublai Khan, the grandson of Genghis Khan, focused on fully conquering China. After years of fighting against the Song dynasty, in 1279, Kublai Khan completed the unification of China and established the Yuan dynasty, becoming the first non-Chinese emperor to rule China. This was one of the greatest achievements of the Mongols, marking a period where they were not only warriors, but also became civilized rulers. From the cold steppes of Central Asia, the Mongol army reached as far as the Pacific coast, the Persian desert, the forests of Eastern Europe, and the fertile lands of the Middle East. At its peak, the Mongol Empire spanned nearly 33 million square kilometers, becoming the largest continental empire in human history. But despite the military strength and vast territory, the question remains: could such a vast empire last forever? Internal upheavals and pressure from conquered peoples would soon bring an end to their dominance. Although famous for their brutal conquests, the Mongols were not only bloodthirsty warriors, but also great organizers. After expanding their territory, they did not let the conquered lands fall into chaos, but instead established an efficient management system, creating an era known as Pax Mongolica, Mongol peace. During this period, from the 13th to the 14th century, the most important trade route of the time, the Silk Road, was protected and flourished. Goods, culture, and ideas from Europe, the Middle East, and Asia circulated more freely than ever before. Thanks to the stability brought by the Mongol Empire, merchants like Marco Polo could undertake journeys from Europe to China without significant obstacles. One of the important achievements of the Mongols was the Yam courier system, which helped them manage a vast territory of up to 33 million square kilometers. These relay stations were set up everywhere, providing fresh horses and resting places for messengers, allowing information to travel quickly from one end of the empire to the other. Thanks to this system, the central government could stay informed about distant lands and ensure that orders were carried out promptly. Unlike many empires before them, the Mongols had a policy of religious tolerance. They did not force any people to convert to their own beliefs, but instead encouraged peaceful coexistence among different religions. Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, and many other faiths coexisted under Mongol rule. This policy helped stabilize their vast territories and facilitated cultural exchange between the East and the West. In addition, the Mongols promoted the exchange of knowledge, helping spread important inventions from China, such as gunpowder, the compass, and printing techniques to Europe. This laid the foundation for major changes in world history. Scientific and technological advances were exchanged through missionaries, traders, and envoys, creating an unprecedented network of connections between civilizations. From a nomadic people, the Mongols not only built a great empire, but also left a profound impact on world history. What they created, from trade, administration to culture, continues to influence the world today, marking an era when the continents were connected like never before in history. After its golden age, the Mongol Empire began to face serious challenges. One of the main reasons for its decline was internal conflict among the descendants of Genghis Khan. After the empire was divided into four khanates, the Yuan dynasty, the Chagatai Khanate, the Golden Horde, and the Ilkhanate. The power struggles within these khanates led to the gradual loss of unity. Without a strong central power, the khanates weakened and were no longer able to control the vast territories as they once did. In addition to the internal conflicts, resistance from the conquered peoples also played a significant role. The Mongols, with their relatively small population, were unable to maintain control indefinitely over such a vast empire. Large regions like China, Persia, and Russia gradually rose up against their rule. In 1368, the Yuan dynasty, the Mongol-established dynasty in China, was overthrown when the Ming army entered Dadu, now Beijing, forcing the descendants of Kublai Khan to flee back to the steppes. This was one of the most powerful blows to Mongol power, marking the end of their dominance in China. To the west, the Golden Horde, one of the most powerful branches of the Mongol Empire, also began to weaken. In 1380, the Russian forces under the leadership of Grand Prince Ivan III defeated the Mongols at the Battle of Kulikovo, paving the way for Russia's independence. No longer as strong as before, the Golden Horde continued to decline and ultimately collapsed in 1502, when it was defeated by rising new powers in Russia. Meanwhile, in Central Asia, new powers such as Tamerlane began to rise. In 1405, Tamerlane defeated many remnants of the Mongol Empire, further weakening the legacy of the once mighty empire. The Mongol Empire, from a nomadic tribe to the mightiest force in the world, but like all great empires, it eventually fell. However, their legacy remains, from the trade routes that connected east and west to military strategies that influenced generations to come. When we look back at history, we not only see conquests, but also understand how the world changed through the ages. If you want to explore more about great civilizations, don't forget to subscribe to the Leos English channel so you don't miss the next fascinating stories.